I'd been working as a pizza delivery driver for about a month, picking up late night shifts to make some extra cash. It was mostly quiet suburban neighborhoods, safe enough, but there was always something about delivering at night that kept me on edge. I'd tell myself it was just my imagination, that nothing bad ever happens on a pizza run. But one night, I got an order that changed my mind about the job, and I'll never forget it. It was nearly midnight, and I was almost ready to clock out when my manager told me there was one last delivery. I checked the order slip: a large pepperoni, a 2-liter soda, and an address a few blocks away. Easy enough, I thought, until I looked more closely at the address. I'd driven by that street a dozen times and couldn't remember ever seeing a house there, but I brushed it off. Maybe it was just a house set back from the road. I grabbed the pizza, loaded it into my car, and set off. As I drove up the street, my headlights scanned the houses on either side. But when I reached the address, I found myself pulling up in front of what looked like an abandoned house. The lawn was overgrown, weeds creeping up through cracked pavement, and the place had that heavy, decaying look that told you it hadn't been lived in for years. The paint was peeling, and most of the windows were dark, some with shattered glass. My stomach dropped a bit, and I considered turning back, but then I thought about the tip. After all, it might just be a renovation project, or maybe someone had forgotten to update their delivery address. I got out of the car, pizza in hand, and walked up the cracked driveway. When I reached the door, I noticed a note taped to it, scrawled in shaky handwriting: "Leave pizza on kitchen table. Take money." I felt a chill. Something about the note didn't sit right with me. Who leaves money on the kitchen table for a delivery guy? And why was it taped to the door instead of just answering when I knocked? Against my better judgment, I pushed the door open, which creaked ominously on rusty hinges. I stepped inside and called out, "Hello, pizza delivery." My voice echoed off the empty walls, bouncing back to me in a way that made the house feel even emptier. I waited, hoping someone would appear and take the pizza, but there was nothing, just silence. I took a few hesitant steps into the entryway, which opened into a living room covered in a thick layer of dust. The furniture was still there, old and moth-eaten, like the house had been frozen in time. The air was heavy and stale, carrying that damp, earthy smell of a place long abandoned. My footsteps felt loud, too loud, as I made my way toward what I assumed was the kitchen. I kept telling myself to just drop the pizza and leave, but something about the place felt wrong, like the walls were watching me. I turned a corner, and there it was, the kitchen. The counters were cluttered with old newspapers and rotting dishes, but sure enough, there was a table in the center. I moved toward it, feeling my nerves prickle with every step. I set the pizza down, glancing around for the money the note had mentioned, and then, just as I was about to turn back, I felt it. Something cold and rough clamped down around my wrist. I froze. My breath caught in my throat as my eyes darted down to my hand. It was a hand, massive, ancient-looking, with long, gnarled fingers and skin stretched tight over knobby bones. It was like something out of a nightmare, a hand too big, too old, too unnatural. I stared at it, paralyzed with fear, feeling its grip tighten as if it were studying me, measuring me. My instincts kicked in, and I yanked my arm back, stumbling away from the table. But the hand didn't let go. It held on, pulling me forward into the darkness beyond the edge of the room. I could feel the chill of its grip seeping into my bones, the smell of something old and decayed rising from its skin. My heart was hammering, every muscle in my body screaming at me to run, but I couldn't break free. I didn't think, I just acted, twisting my body with every ounce of strength I had. Finally, with a desperate wrench, I managed to pull my arm free, stumbling backward and nearly tripping over my own feet. The hand receded into the shadows, but I could still see the outline of it, hovering in the darkness, just watching me. Without a second thought, I turned and bolted, my footsteps thundering down the hallway. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I could feel it, though, that oppressive presence right behind me, almost like it was reaching out, fingers brushing the air inches from my back. I hit the front door and practically threw myself through it, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear the slam of the door behind me. I sprinted to my car, fumbling with the keys as I tried to unlock it with shaking hands. I jumped in, locked the doors, and tore out of there, not daring to look in the rearview mirror. The house disappeared into the darkness behind me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me, following me, lurking just beyond the edge of my vision. I didn't stop until I was back at the pizza shop, and even then, I sat in my car for a long time, just breathing, trying to calm down. When I finally went inside, my manager looked at me like I'd lost it. "You okay?" he asked, probably noticing how pale I was, how my hands were still shaking. I didn't know what to say, so I just mumbled something about a weird delivery and asked if I could go home early. I didn't mention the house or the hand, or the fact that I could still feel that cold grip on my wrist, like it had left a mark that only I could feel. I quit that job a week later, found something with regular hours, daylight hours. I never drove down that street again, never checked if the house was still there. And sometimes, late at night, I catch myself staring at my wrist, half expecting to see bruises in the shape of long, knobby fingers. Because some memories don't fade.